I have been making videos of wild animals in the North Burial Ground for 11 years. And occasionally I even get some good video of coyotes. But this year was amazing. I had some early season sightings, but starting on May 8th in the evening when I went to look for the toads as they began their mating season, I found the coyote den in a drainage tile and found 7 pups out playing in front of it. From that day on, you'd hardly go a week where you didn't see coyotes, and you'd see them actually almost every day on occasion. I got video of coyotes more than 60 times. In fact, as I make this video in November, I got video this morning. But this video may be the most amazing thing I ever got. It is a picture of a mama coyote, the mama coyote. There's only one in there, in the North Burial Ground, and she's suckling puppies. There's like 2 or 3 puppies right underneath her having dinner. Over the next week, I found them out playing in front of the den on numerous occasions. Sometimes there'd be a few, sometimes there'd be all 7 of them. Now you know, there's no way that 7 coyote pups are going to make it through the season. Coyote pups, like everything else, die at high rates. And if we had all 7 of them survive, the state would be overrun by coyotes and nothing flat. But it was a treasure to watch them. And as we got to fall, we'll have 2 coyote pups. I don't know what happened to the others other than the usual stuff. But it was just amazing to watch 7 coyote pups playing like every day for a few weeks. Shortly after I took these pictures, the coyotes moved the den. I think they were getting too many people watching them and too much traffic. People were parking their cars and just watching them all day. And I didn't see them again for a couple of weeks, and when I did, there were fewer pups. But that's how it goes. My next sighting was a week later, and that's the mom. You can tell the mom because she's got really straight up ears. Eventually, I've learned to tell all the different coyotes apart, when there were 4 of them, 2 pups and the mom and the pop. But other than that, in early season, I wasn't quite sure. That one I kind of knew was the mom because I'd seen her with her nipples and suckling. This is again the female walking around in the cemetery, looking for food. Well, it's always great to get action shots. Coyotes, like most critters, spend a lot of time resting. Here, though, you have the adult male. You can tell it's the male. He's got ears that point out rather than up, and he's hanging out with one of the pups. The coyote male is an attentive father, and right up until November, when the pups are pretty well grown, he continues to spend a lot of time around them and pay attention. By the beginning of July, the pups are starting to spend time moving around the cemetery by themselves. A little perfect Mendelian genetics. The female's ears stick straight up, the male's ears stick out to the side, and all of the pups have ears that are kind of intermediary, going up at an angle. This week they seem to be hanging out on this hillside, and then they moved the den again. the female at rest. The male, in addition to having ears that look very different than all the others, is a lot bigger than any of the other coyotes. End of July, not sure what the pup is eating, but it's clearly chowing down on something that it likes. As coyotes move, they take advantage of all of the cover. So you'll watch a coyote and then you will see that it will take cover behind every single headstone and use them as a barrier against you as it walks around the cemetery and moves. You spend all the time watching them. They go behind one thing, then behind something else, then they go between stones. It's pretty amazing to watch. Occasionally they seem to be eating something down in the grass. I've never quite figured it out, but a friend of mine tells me it's probably things like grasshoppers. Didn't know they ate insects, but they're obviously good and nutritious. By August, there were only 2 pups left, and I learned to tell them apart by the amount of white on their face. I call them thin white and wide white for obvious reasons. Coyotes seem to be very light on their feet, very graceful, and the occasional time, and I mean very occasional time that you watch them when they really run, they're amazingly fast. By this point, you see one of the pups. I think they have moved the den down by the river, but I'm not really sure, and I never really looked hard enough to figure it out. The adults seem to have gotten used to the people in the cemetery enough to just kind of chill out and let you watch. But the pups always have remained wary and stay much further away. The female was out foraging, and eventually you'll get a glimpse of the male behind her. He's moving around too. On this day, the pup was using the really tall grass as cover. Even into September, the adults were still grooming the pups, trying to keep them clean and healthy. That is wide white, along with the adult male. On this day, all 4 of the coyotes were in the same neighborhood in the burial ground. You see the male there, but mostly what you see is the female hanging out with 2 of the pups, which is what you've got here. First she's grooming one of them. Eventually they all kind of lie down near some of the headstones and just chill. That's quite a ways from the young pup, but it was looking at me pretty intently, so I just stayed where I was and kept the camera on it. Eventually it decides to go up the hill, then changes its mind and goes around the hill. It was obvious the other coyotes were in the neighborhood. You've got the big male hanging out there. And then just without even realizing it, the female came by and went right by it. And I got that on picture. This rather long sequence is one of the more amazing things I've ever seen. The big male was kind of just laying there. I wasn't that far away. I was, 50 yards and just filming, and he's chilling. The female goes by and goes up the esker. And the big male was just kind of sitting there. And then I see the two young pups come by. One's on the left. It was thin white. The one on the right is wide white. They kind of look at me. They were coming up this way, and then they finally got to where they could see me, and they kind of just abruptly stopped. You never quite know what coyotes see, but their vision isn't real sharp. The same way dogs, it isn't real sharp. They see motion quite well. I'm not sure how much color or, whether they see humans very well or not, but the shape is obvious. And then one of them walks off, and then eventually wide white follows along while the male still stays there. A few minutes later, I'd continued on my way, and I came up the hill, and there was one of the pups and the adult male kind of cruising along, and eventually the pup joins it as they keep going up the hill. While I mostly focus the latter part of this video on social interactions, in this case, the female coyote seems to be foraging. It's got something in its mouth. It's hard to tell what it was. It's so small. A friend of mine tells me that they probably eat a lot of grasshoppers, and that seems quite likely as to what that was. And so you get to see foraging. We didn't see much foraging this year. I did see a rabbit somewhere. Mostly, though, the most interesting thing is the interactions among the various coyotes, but it's pretty hard to resist predation as an opportunity to take video. I do like to watch the parents groom the youngsters. The youngsters seem to tolerate it, but they always kind of shift away a bit. So it was kind of fun to watch it do it. And then they're still at it, and she does it again, and eventually they take off, and you get to see more of them. I eventually figured out that the papa wasn't far away, and so after looking at the adult female there, you can tell it's the adult because the ears are almost straight up. I looked across, and there was the male sitting on the ground, just kind of chilling. Eventually, it was kind of interesting, it gets up and moves away when a car comes by, and just kind of gets out of the way and says, "Oops," and so trots on off. Another lengthy sequence. One of the pups is trotting around not too far from the Ridgeside Lake in the esker. Mom shows up and she's wandering around. She goes back and forth a few times, goes around the esker. It's kind of fun to watch her as she trots by. I love to watch the coyotes move relatively quickly. They're such graceful and light-footed trotters. Back and forth, eventually around the back of the esker. And the encounter ends with Mom and one of the pups hanging out right near Ridgeside Lake. This one is the adult male and the adult female. The male in the back, the female in the front. Both kind of relaxing in the sun. This one's kind of cool because the adult male goes over to these flowers. I don't know what the heck it was doing. Was it smelling them? Was it trying to get some liquid off them? Was it eating something? I don't know. But it went there, and the next day it went back to those same flowers and sniffed around some more. Kind of interesting. While early in the season, I rarely saw the adult male and adult female traveling together. Come October, they were traveling together a lot. And in this case, they take naps together on opposite sides of the Whipple Stone. I'm going to end this excursion through the year here on October 25th. This is a rather lengthy excursion to end the show. The adult male and the pup Wide White are hanging out. Eventually you'll see the female come in. Eventually the female will leave, and you'll see the pup again, and then the male will come, and then the male will do some bodily functions, and you'll end the day and end the year with a little coyote poop. I hope you have enjoyed your excursion through the year of the coyotes in the North Burial Ground, and may they continue to prosper and thrive. Here's what the male deposited.